The prone position is a relatively common military term and is also very common in film and television works. However, the prone position, although simple, is not simply lying down, but using different postures in different environments. During the Napoleonic era, the importance of cannons in marching warfare was irreplaceable. At the end of the 19th century, large-scale artillery battles became a new form of warfare. Although machine guns slaughtered a generation of young Europeans during World War I, the casualties caused by artillery were also considerable. At such times, people had to consider how infantry could protect themselves from the damage of artillery shells. The damage of artillery shells to infantry generally includes several aspects. First of all, there are the fragments and flying debris produced by the explosion, such as those from 155 mm artillery shells, which can even reach a distance of over 100 meters. Secondly, there is the shock wave, which violently spreads outwards during the explosion, with a killing radius of tens to hundreds of meters. The intense vibration during the explosion also travels rapidly along the ground. The prone position is one of the effective ways to prevent injury from artillery shells. After all, if a person is standing, the probability of being injured by fragments and the like will increase, but lying down can reduce this risk to some extent. However, simply lying on the ground is obviously not reasonable. Under normal circumstances, if there are ready-made fortifications or foxholes nearby, when you hear the whistle of the artillery shells flying in, you should immediately take cover inside. If there are none, then you should lie down on the ground. The correct posture for taking cover from artillery fire should be to have elbows and knees on the ground, with both hands covering the head to protect the ears. Keeping the mouth open helps reduce the damage from the explosion, and the main body, such as the abdomen, should be raised appropriately to reduce the damage to the soft internal organs from the shock wave transmitted through the ground. However, it should also be noted that lying down cannot absolutely guarantee protection from injury. It only reduces the possibility of injury to a certain extent, or reduces the degree of injury. If the explosion point of the artillery shell is very close to the prone personnel, then whether they are lying down or not doesn't really matter. In some war photographs, there are countless examples of people being blown into the sky by the explosion of artillery shells, with their clothes and pants blown off. On the battlefield, soldiers need to lie down not only when artillery shells are coming, but also when encountering light weapons such as enemy machine guns and rifles. Although there is no need to consider the shock wave and other injuries when facing threats from machine guns and the like, lying down indiscriminately is also not the best option, because it is the duty of soldiers to fight. Lying down with a weapon is the correct posture for dealing with sudden situations, as it allows for immediate protection from injury and the ability to observe the battlefield situation and launch a counterattack at any time. Lying down with a weapon can be done with one hand or both hands, and there are differences such as lying on one side or kneeling. The traditional one-handed lying down with a weapon in our army is clearly depicted in many documentary films. For example, in old movies, soldiers are often seen holding the wooden part of the gun with their right hand, stepping their left leg forward, and then leaning forward with the left hand on the ground. This is a typical one-handed lying down with a weapon. Kneeling down is mainly used in snowy areas, deep mud areas, and the like. Lying down with a weapon with both hands is a practice that began in our army in the 1990s, and can be considered an imported technique. No matter which posture is used, the purpose is the same, to first protect oneself from injury, and then to quickly assess the battlefield situation and launch a counterattack. Of course, not all situations call for lying down. If there are foxholes or the like nearby, it is best to roll into them as soon as possible. Lying down is the most basic tactical training action. Although lying on the ground may not be elegant at all, it is very effective for saving lives. During the War of Resistance against Japan, our soldiers highly admired the combat literacy of the Japanese veterans. Even when ambushing them, as soon as the gunfire sounded, they immediately scattered and lay down, with the whole process taking only a few seconds. In situations with insufficient firepower, it was difficult to achieve a large number of casualties with the first wave of shooting. In recent years, our country has appropriately increased publicity in this area. In some air defense alert exercises, some people are trained in how to lie down correctly. Activities that combine military and patriotic education like this are worth promoting.